start off or what?
All right. Welcome to our fourth. Is it our fourth?
Fifth? I don't know.
Fifth. Fitlosophy. We have our guest today, gymnastics coach at the Armory, Stacey Head.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hey.
And we have the co-host here, Luke May. Luke May's Fitness.
Hello all.
And today we're going to be talking about gymnastics, everything gymnastics.
Sweet.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? And how'd you get here, basically?
Yeah, so I'm Stacey. I work at Crossfit Armory. I was a gymnast for about 12 years. Obviously, when I was younger, I quit when I was 15 to, pursue other sports. But yeah, so I got here, then come back to school, met Luke there in personal training, got our personal training certificate, and then I found CrossFit a few years ago, and obviously fell in love, and probably because of the gymnastic aspect, and now I'm coaching.
Awesome. Did you do any competitions or anything with gymnastics?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us about that? What are your achievements?
Yeah, I was provincial champion a few times. I went to the Western Canada Games 3 times.
Wow. So she's legit.
Legit.
She's legit, guys.
Yes.
Also, for you bodybuilders out there, we always talk about this because this is a topic of if you go back to the videos, every week we kind of slam bodybuilders. All of us have done some bodybuilding.
Yes.
Like you did a competition.
I did 2.
Two bodybuilding competitions. So guys, it's not all a loss. You just gotta turn your life around right now.
And put on the bathing suit.
It's not all over. You can change your life now. It's okay.
Hey, you gotta try new things, right? You gotta challenge yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
How long ago was that, bodybuilding?
Oh, that was about probably only 4 years ago. I've done 2. Yeah. In my defense, there were fitness competitions, so I did have to do the walk on stage posing, which I'm terrible at, but then we do a fitness routine, so that was really fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So there was
like
some
flips and stuff.
Doing
wow.
cool shit. Yeah.
Right. So you could be very impressive at that part.
Exactly. That's all I'm impressive at, though. The modeling part, no, not my forte. Or walking in heels.
Never do that.
No, don't do that.
Okay, cool. So let's get to some meat and potatoes here.
Sure.
So
some questions.
we got a few questions here. We were talking earlier about like your gymnastics model. So like where somebody, if they first come into the gym, they're like, never done this before. What does the progression look like? Where do they start? What's the foundation? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So if you kind of look at the CrossFit foundation they have a similar, they have a triangle set up. Gymnastics is somewhere there in the middle. They have nutrition there really close to the baseline, right? So I kind of made up my own where you definitely need to have this strength level, right?
So this is like a pyramid.
A pyramid.
Yeah, but
like
just
pyramid.
gymnastics.
Like the Canada Food Guide pyramid,
Exactly.
but gymnastics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have at the bottom, we have to have this baseline strength, right? And then as we kind of progress through that strength, we also need to have that level of flexibility. You see gymnastics, it's just work of art because they have this beautiful grace about them because they're both strong and flexible. And that's what makes gymnastics so beautiful. And you need both those aspects to complete skills and to move on to other skills. So learning how to be strong in that extended position, but also being able to extend, right? Those are what people need to learn because this is still active. Even though I'm extending here, I'm still active in that part of my swing.
Right.
For example.
You're not just fully relaxed.
You're not just relaxed and extending, right? You need to be also, very active and strong. And then kind of that top level, you have to have this mental capacity. You have to, it's such a mental sport. So I love showing people how to spot and me spotting them because just having that support will provide people with confidence to go through each skill. And when I trained, we always start from the ground up. So when you practice movements on the beam, you start with a whole bunch of mats right beside the beam. You do the skill, you slowly peel away mats. You have a spotter now when you're on the higher beam, and then you slowly peel away that to where they're not touching you, they're just standing by you, right? So that there's that mental training that goes along with it to really convince your body and yourself that you can do this.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, there's something to be said, I'd say, about spotting somebody, like for gymnastics. I can relate that to group training, because when I'm group training, say I'm training like 5 people or so, and one's on a rower, one's on an air bike, one's doing squats. It's funny because you see them on the air bike, and say they're doing 300 watts or so. I walk by them, all of a sudden it's 400 watts, right? And then I walk by the person on the rower, and they're doing 100 calories, or say they're doing 200 watts, and then I walk beside them, it's 300 watts, right? So just having that person there, it just makes you like try a little bit harder. Like somebody's watching me. So especially for gymnastics, it's like that mental focus is like there, right? The pressure's on, right? So
and also security though. Like if you're doing something that's like kind of dangerous.
Gymnastics is scary.
It's scary stuff. You're like,
For sure.
I need somebody there to watch me. Funny story though. I did gymnastics for like less than a year, way back when.
That doesn't count.
I was probably 7.
You made the Olympics though, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Australia.
1 year. Whatever. Yeah, Australia. Even though I'm English, but whatever. Anyway. So I did that, and then there was this guy spotting me, and I got so pissed off with him spotting me so much that I quit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you had a
you go the other
negative
way.
experience.
I just have
with
kind of
it.
a negative, like as a kid, he was helping me with everything. I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I went to play basketball instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just after a year, you just gave up.
So I guess too much spotting's bad too.
No.
Okay. So, just to clarify on the pyramid, so we got this pyramid with strength at the bottom.
Yeah.
Mobility is second. We got third. We are at mental, kind of like mental strength.
Capacity, mental strength. Yeah.
Okay. And then is there another level?
No, that's my solid. What you need to be a gymnast.
Okay.
The big three.
The big 3.
Okay. Cool. So that probably would go right into, when somebody comes into the gym, just looking at this more practically.
Right.
Someone comes into the gym, what kinds of things would you first start doing for the strength component? Because that's the first component on there.
Yeah.
Or would you do some strength mixed with mobility? Like, how do you kind of approach those things in your pyramid?
If you go to a gymnastics class or we go to practice, the first thing we do is some sort of activation along with some sort of flexibility component. So I'll put my leg on that box and I'll go into the splits and my coach would sit on me. So, we're hyperextension as much as possible.
Sit on you in the splits?
Yes.
That's pretty incredible.
What? So.
Yeah. If you want me to do it? Or...
Yeah, I do actually.
Like, can Stacey do the splits? That's the.
Do you want? What do you want? In between a couple of chairs or something? Or?
Well, we can just use this.
Okay. Let me see if we can see this.
I'm gonna random dolly.
I'm gonna make sure you're in the.
The random dolly,
yeah.
right?
Just turn the camera. Lift up the whole thing. Just lift up that pole there.
Just
Will
really
this
quick.
pop up?
Yeah.
Okay. Here she
All right.
is.
No, it should be okay.
It should pop up.
Oh, I heard some popping there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we'd put our foot higher, and then she'd come and sit on us, so that we were getting our, hyperextension.
Sounds really healthy.
Stretch. Yeah, probably not.
But-
Gymnasts are crazy.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So you're working on that, and that's activation?
That would be our flexibility component. Our activation component would include holding static handstands, doing some nice core activation stuff.
Right.
Getting our body prepared to go through extreme ranges of motion with power, speed, all of those aspects of fitness,
Okay. So are you working on one movement per class?
Yeah, so I typically work on 2 movements. I like to ask people what they want to work on, before I set up things, or I'll look at the programming that we have in class and kind of try and base it off that as well. There always seems to be trends, so it's right now with Fight of the Fittest around the corner, people want to work on their static handstand holds, right?
Right.
Everyone always wants to learn how to do a muscle up. So the biggest thing I work on with people that are coming in and that are fresh or even that are not fresh is supporting themselves. So anytime we can practice supporting yourself in a strong motion is what I try and do. So simple things like supporting yourself on the rings, right? We have parallettes that we use where we do an L-sit on the parallettes. So your core is activating and then you're still supporting yourself up. The other thing is hanging from a bar, hanging with like a false grip, with your wrist over, hanging from the rings in a false grip. So lots of stuff where you're just holding yourself up is so awesome for people, and it just makes sense.
Just literally just holding yourself
We'll just
up.
hold ourselves
Just learning
up.
to engage, but also like relax.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the stuff we'll do at the beginning of class for sure, and that can be done by anyone, right? And those are like the little small things that people don't want to work on, but I still go and do them. I'll go hang out in a false grip, right? And that's how you improve, right? Is practicing those little things.
Why false grip?
False grip. What happens in false grip on the bars and on the rings is
Wait a
we
second.
get our.
Show the viewers what false grip is. I'll grab a set of rings here.
Yeah, so on the bars, you want to think about having kind of your knuckles over the bars, and on the rings, you want, I don't know if you can see that, you almost want your forearms to be on the rings there, so you can see I'm like in a good supporting position. If we're in this constant hang, you know, on the bars and on the rings, then you're losing grip, right? And then that takes out your bicep engagement. Now I'm just crashing out my forearm, right? And then all the weight is in here, where if we're over in this false grip engagement on both the rings and on the bar.
You're up here.
Yeah, I'm up here. Okay, that hang there. And then if this is a bar too, I'm really getting over, then I can engage my biceps, right? Great muscle to use.
More like pull.
Yeah,
it's also
way
easier
stronger
to
pull.
turn the muscle up over,
Exactly.
right?
So when we go over for a strict muscle up, it's great. It's a great transition part.
So that's something you do. That's one of the things you do as a warm up is hanging there with that false grip.
Yeah.
And just like learning to be in that
Get
position.
comfortable, and you'll feel like I'll put people up there, and they're like, "Oh, ow!" Like, you know, it's not a comfortable position for anyone.
Right.
So it's just a great, 10 minutes into class, I do lots of core activation and then hanging and supporting yourself.
Cool. So basically working on the strength and the tissue tolerance for those particular movements. So that's also for injury prevention, I'm guessing, right? A lot as well?
For sure. Yeah. We have the classic, CrossFit, like we definitely push ourselves past our limits sometimes, and that care on our bodies is not, our first priority. It's wanting to get all these skills all in 1 week, get the numbers, right? When we got to take care of our bodies, and every person and every guy that you talk to has poor shoulder mobility. Every single person. I hear it all the time, right? Is I have, either have a shoulder problem or I have no mobility. They can't do a front rack position, right? That's a struggle for a lot of people, and so I definitely like to do shoulder extensions. Just put your hands on the box, like turn around, face the box there. So this is what we'll do in class, and then just come back, bring your butt back, and extend your shoulders there. And then I'll just come and push people, and we're just holding that. So simple things like that, right? And then you can go the other way and do some shoulder flexion.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Cool. So the stretching and gymnastics that you do first, that's mostly like assisted, like that's weight assisted stretching that you're doing. Like you're getting in these positions and you're getting people to like sort of push down.
Yeah.
Do you do any stretching, like active stretching, where you're actually like getting to your end range and like pushing against?
Yeah, so resisted. What's that?
FNS, isn't it?
No, FNS, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I don't remember.
Yeah. You should know this.
Yeah. We know what it is. We know how to use it.
But. So there will be a movement here. Why don't we show people? Laying your stomach, Luke?
You want to get the camera?
Camera there.
Sorry.
I have a quick question first though.
Yeah.
When you're doing this stretching, is there like a warm up to the stretching, or do you just do the stretching cold?
We just go into
straight
it.
and cold. Okay. Is there science behind that, or is that just kind of what's always been done?
Is that
gymnastics? All right, that's just gymnastics.
Okay,
I got a big hole in my pants, so.
Oh, we're gonna see his crotch.
Yeah. Everyone wants
All
to
right,
see it
straighten
anyway.
out your arms, and then try and go biceps by your ears. Okay. Now I'm gonna pull and extend you. Now let your tummy fall, your chest fall. Okay. Now you're gonna pull me.
Okay. So this is the active stretching.
All right, relax.
Right. Okay.
So try and relax here. Okay, let me pull
Increase
you back.
mobility, active stretching. That's what
There we go.
Shoulder to the more.
Okay, now that's good.
There we
now
go.
pull.
No, this is cool.
Cool.
Sorry.
Matt and I are going to do some of this today.
Yeah.
Right, Matt, we'll be doing this.
That's good.
Sweet.
Okay, excellent.
That's very cool. Yeah, so, I mean, what happens there? Well, let's see if we can remember what happens there. So you're kind of activating the muscles. You can
Yeah,
do, guys,
we
you can
wanna-
do this with anything. Like,
Really, yeah.
you're activating the muscles, and then you're kind of relaxing it again, and you're tricking your body into increasing the range of motion.
Yeah, for sure.
Essentially.
So something that's like great for, you know, if you're doing bar work or ring work is like skin cats. Have you guys heard of skin
Yep, skin
cats?
cats.
You know, so
Or
they're
rings.
same
Skin
idea.
a couple of cats.
Kind of the bar is providing that resistance, right? And they're just like a great shoulder mobility and activation tool that you can use in warm up.
Sweet.
Mhm.
It's awesome. Let's move on to some specifics.
Yeah.
So,
So
like, you guys probably want to know. There's two things we figured that most people want to know how to do. One is muscle ups. The other
bar
one,
muscle up.
bar muscle ups. Most of you don't even know what rings are, probably. Just kidding. Jokes. Bar muscle ups and walking on your hands.
Yeah.
So let's dive into those things. So
Yeah.
bar muscle ups to begin with. What's the progression for that?
Okay, so you know the misconception with bar muscle ups is that they're a form of a pull up, or they are a pull up. So the problem is people think they can get pull ups and then they'll be able to do a bar muscle up. And what we want to teach is for my progression is, you know, you do want to start at having a great kip. That's like the biggest thing is you got to be able to use your hips to make a powerful kip on
What's
the
a kip?
bar. So a kip is like a beat swing is a
Okay.
kip, or like a kipping is just a long hang swing too.
Kind of using the momentum from your body.
From
to-
your lower body, right? And not make it like you see these stiff jacked guys just like going kipping like that, you know, right? Where it's got to be good extension and contraction there. And then all that power comes from your hips and your glutes, right? So teaching people how to have a great kip. And then we transfer that into having a, you know, good solid kipping pull up. Okay, and then a good solid kipping chest to bar. And now we want to teach people how to go hips to bar. So you can't do this with bent arms. So people want to do a bar muscle up and they come up and they're here and then the chicken wing occurs
Right.
because they're pulling here and they're not pulling to their hips. So if you see if you watch my videos on bar muscle ups, I don't even bend my arms on them. I practice a nice high pull with straight arms, trying to shoot my hips up to the bar, and then doing this fast rotation over top of the bar.
So is there no dip in your muscle?
No.
Is that legal for CrossFit though?
Yes. So
It
the toes can't come above the bar.
Right.
Is the only
You mean
rule.
on the top, like
So
on the
in your
back
kip.
part of your kip?
In
Yeah.
your kip, your toes can't raise above the bar
Yeah.
Right.
for you to rotate over.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can do it
So-
straight arms.
So I can do it straight arms. So and that's
That'll
like
save a lot of.
it saves a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But that's also something that's maybe not, you know, like not everyone can do.
Provincials champ, so
Right? Yeah.
little
No, but it's the end goal, right? Is you do want to save as much strength as you can in workouts, right? For CrossFit, but
So you're pulling to a different place. That's
we're
like
pulling
the
to a
first
different
thing,
place. Exactly.
Right.
So what the first thing I'll focus on and that everyone can do is a hip drive. So we'll start with, you know, feet on box on a low bar, just practicing shooting your hips up to the bar. So any sort of progression where you're practicing that hip power is going to help you transfer that to the bar. So then we can go to the bar and work on those swings with a pull, you know, not a muscle up, but just with a simple like solid swing and then hips to bar. Just basically a straight arm lat pull down.
Right.
So I wish we had like a lat pull down machine in our gym because I would just get everyone over there doing straight arm lat pull down. So we have bands, you know, that I try and do that with as well. But it's like just a straight arm lat pull down, shooting your hips up. And that's kind of the biggest problem you'll see in a bar muscle up is people leaving their hips behind, doing a pull up, chicken wing over, pressing, right? That's like shoulder injury central.
right. So if I'm just a bro at a box or at a like a Globo gym,
Mm-hmm.
so you're saying I don't just try to go ahead and do the muscle up, I gotta learn first kips.
Yeah.
And then you say kipping pull-ups.
Kipping
second.
pull-ups.
Kipping chest to bar pull-ups.
Chest to bar.
And then I'm doing a kipping hip thrust.
Hip to bar.
Hip to bar. And then I can go to muscle ups.
Then you can go to
From
muscle
there.
ups. Yeah.
Okay, so
Be
there's
able
lots
to
of
do
steps.
all those things.
Don't just
yeah.
go after it.
No.
I'm gonna get
So
it.
if you walk in the gym and you can't do a pull up, should you start with that or start with kipping pull ups?
So I like to do both because
You're
even
saying it's
though-
not really a pull up progression. It's a different movement.
It's a different movement for sure. So it's tough, right? Because you need to have that strength. But I'm training a volleyball player right now, and she's so long, but she's super athletic, and she can do kipping pull-ups, and she can't do a strict pull-up. But we just retested her, and she's so close, and she's so much better than she used to be. But she's just got these damn long body, long arms, and that's tough, right? But I put kipping pull-ups in her workouts all the time because she's still going through that full range of motion pull. So yes, maybe it's cheating, but it's not cheating.
It's actually helping her
She's
do a
still
pull
getting
up.
stronger. Exactly.
It's definitely helping her do a pull up. Like I have clients, for instance, my one client, she could do one strict pull up, like a sloppy strict pull up, right? I showed her kipping pull ups, and she's been doing them in her workouts, and she can do about 8 to 10 in a row. And now that she's been doing them with some volume, she goes back to strict pull ups, and she got 4.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just
Awesome.
she didn't spend any time on those strict pull ups, but she just spent time on the bar. And you're still engaging all your pulling
For
muscles
sure.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
So and just she's improving her tissue tolerance this way by kind of going through that swing and hanging off the bar. So it's helped her pull ups a lot. So that's
for sure.
So when people say you'll kind of have that argument oh wow, why are you doing that? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cheating. Why are you doing all these kipping pull ups? Well, it'll actually make you quite a bit stronger in your strict pull ups too.
Oh
right?
yeah.
It does have a lot of carryover.
Yeah.
Doing your kipping pull ups.
And then just emphasize form. So if they're doing these kipping pull ups, don't let them bend their knees, right? Make them use their hips, make them use their core, their glutes, everything, right? To help them get up there. And because, as soon as you bend your knees, you lose all of that glute engagement.
Right.
That's what was my other arms bend, speed ends. There's my slogan.
Arms bent, speed.
Yeah, so we're working on that bar muscle up. As soon as you bend your arms, you're losing all that upwards momentum. Arm bend, speed ends. Yeah.
Arm bend, speed ends. Write it down. Keep it.
Okay, should we move on to the handstand walk, I guess, or
Handstand in general.
Handstand in general.
Handstands, yeah. Everyone wants to do a handstand, right? It's so funny. I was driving here, and you see all these kids playing in the park, and they're all doing handstand and cartwheels, and it's just funny. But so yes, we teach these skills, and in our classes, there's just not enough time to work on these skills. So again, this is just a skill that needs to be practiced outside of class, right? And that's what people need to kind of put in the work is outside of class, or maybe skip a class and work on these things outside of class. So we do, kipping handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, but if you ask most of the people in there that do handstand push-ups, if they can hold a handstand, I bet you 99% of them would say, no, I can't hold a handstand.
I can't.
So you're like, how?
How
There we
long?
go.
In one place? Just in one place?
I PR about a minute or so.
Okay.
There we go.
Can you do a handstand holding a? Can you do a push-up holding a handstand? Can you do one of those?
Like a freestanding.
A freestanding handstand push-up?
Of course she can, for sure. I've done a few of them here and there, but kind of sloppy. And
That's okay.
I could do them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're like, how did you not learn how to do a handstand before doing a handstand push-up? And then you watch most of them, and they'll go to do their handstand push-up, and they'll start like this, right? And then they'll kick up. You're like, oh, I know you don't know how to do a handstand if you start like that, right? So,
Okay, explain. We need to know why.
well, so we
How
want
do you know
to,
these things?
if we're gonna go into a handstand, I'm gonna start in a handstand. Start with, right? I'm gonna start in my handstand position. I'm not gonna start in this weird position like I'm going for a sprint, right?
Okay.
Like I'm not Usain Bolt.
Starting the handstand.
So we want to start in a handstand. You want to take a big lunge. You want to get your center really close to the ground, okay, and have that kickoff leg, this back leg, do the work to get me to a slow and controlled handstand. It's not a race to get into a handstand. It's not about how fast you can get into a handstand, right? It's how controlled you can get into a handstand. That's how you hold a handstand. you fling up in the air, you're gonna fall right back down, right? So we also, the typical, whoa, and I'm gonna fling into a handstand, right? See that all the time. Again, that's just lacking any sort of control, okay? You gotta have control when you go into a handstand. So that's why I would say start in a handstand, take a big lunge, bring your center of mass closer to the ground and nice and controlled into the handstand. So when working on a handstand hold, handstand walk, you know, the easiest way is to teach this step first. And then what I'll do is I'll teach what's called the scissor. So, you know, if you're holding handstand like this, nice and straight, right? If you spread your legs into a scissor, you're gonna be able to balance. You're gonna be able to be a teeter-totter, you know, and then your center of mass is closer to the ground as well. So it's just easier to hold a handstand. So I'll teach the scissor, the kick up to the scissor, then we'll move against the wall and work on the scissor against the wall. And then we'll move on to just different motions in the handstand. So here's ideal, right? We have our straight ideal. Now I gotta learn how to control, if I fall this way, how do I control that from falling down, right? I don't wanna fall down. So I'm in this hollow position, I gotta fight it back to here. Most importantly, I gotta be super strong in this extended position. And again, if I'm extended, I gotta still find a way to bring it back to neutral. So you gotta be not only good with this, you gotta be good with this, gotta be good with this, right? Be super strong in those positions. So I'll practice back to the wall and heels touch the wall and just a pure hip extension. My shoulders are still stacked over top of my wrists. And then bringing my feet
Just
back to
learning
neutral.
bring them out from the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
just coming back to neutral. Like
coming
you're
back
working
to
on that
neutral.
rep, that like hollow rock kind of rep.
Exactly, but extension to neutral.
Okay.
And then you can do the same thing with your tummy to the wall. You can practice hollow, bring off to neutral, hollow,
Right.
bring
And
off
those
to
are the two
neutral.
different directions.
Exactly, that you need to be super comfortable with, right? Because
So
it's going to be pretty tough to maintain a perfect handstand like that.
So when you're against the wall, you're basically just developing strength in those, because you have the
And
wall
confidence.
and confidence. And
Mhm.
confidence just inverted.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So, okay. Because you're not actually balancing because you're using the wall. So it's more like, inversion, confidence, and strength.
For sure. And so you'll see as people go on, we get this like back extension, get that arch back, and then we lose shoulder engagement, right? Even bent arms. So again, just like always thinking about when you're against the wall, you don't have to think about balancing. You can think about those other things. So some people go into a handstand and I tell them something and they're like, I thought I was doing that. So then if they're against the wall, you can kind of go and form them into this position you want. And then they'll be like, oh, I get it. You know, so using the wall as a tool, as a coaching tool, is kind of your best bet.
So what is that, like, what position, should your body be in the handstand? Like, are you facing forward? Are you looking at the ground? You
want to try and get like a double chin while looking at the ground, basically.
Okay.
So we don't want to like extend our head, right? That just promotes this arch back position. We want to be, kind of double chin, looking up, right? Because you still got to look up at your fingers.
Right. So you gotta look up.
So you're trying to do
Yeah.
this, but on the ground.
So
On the ground, yeah.
in actual gymnastics though,
Mhm.
you don't. Do you look up still, or you're supposed to have
Yeah.
it in neutral?
No, you look up still,
Just
but
look
it's like that.
Oh, so you're still kind of more neutral than you would be like doing handstand walk.
For
What
sure.
about in the handstand walk? You see like the kind of high level gymnasts with a straight body
Yeah.
versus like the
The
scorpion.
scorpion.
The scorpion style? I mean, like,
Yeah.
She hates the scorpion.
Do you hate the scorpion? Is
Oh,
that like
yeah.
so?
She
Can you handstand walk those still quite fast in your straight position?
I can, but as you practice things, that kind of those cheating methods, in a sense, will help you walk faster.
Right.
So I've been kind of practicing more, and I've been teaching more, like leading with your heels. So I'm in a very slightly extended position, but only from my waist up to my heels.
Okay.
Right? So my shoulders, my core are all still stacked over top of my wrists.
Right.
So everything's still nice and straight. And then from my hips to my heels or to my tippy toes, because I usually point my toes,
Right.
they're the ones that are extending, kind of leading
Right.
me through the handstand walk.
because you do see lots of the like even the high level CrossFit.
Oh yeah.
Like big scorpion. I scorpion myself, and I've never like done official gymnastics like yourself. Yeah, it's just like that weight out in front of you. It speeds you up for sure.
For sure, but it also helps you maintain a neutral position. So the reason you're scorpioning is because it's kind of like hard to explain, but if you're extending and then you have to stay over top of neutral, right? So you're making this U shape
because
over this
and
neutral.
It has to do also with like poor shoulder mobility, right?
Poor shoulder mobility.
Like myself, poor shoulder mobility. So I feel like I have to scorpion to get my handstand walk right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to improve it for years, and it has improved a little bit, but I don't know, like my improvements. I feel like I'm at a wall after a few years of like trying to improve it. It's just kind of like
Skin the cats, man.
skin the cats.
Skin the cats.
Yeah.
Okay, tell what is skinning the cats?
I like it.
Who?
It's on rings. We almost need rings to demonstrate.
You can do it on the bar.
But okay, you want
You show.
to? I kind of have a bad shoulder, honestly.
Come on,
Like
Stacey,
I do have a
you're
bad
the
shoulder
expert here.
to show.
Really? We're gonna do this?
Yeah, let's skin some cats.
Skin the
Alright, skin the cats.
Is this chair in the way?
Not too bad. We'll move it for a second.
Which way should I go? This way?
Whatever you think.
Alright.
So yeah, right through. Look at that. Whew, mobility. So strict. So how would you do that rep though? Like, would you do it like you showed it there? Would you hold it at the end? How many reps would you do?
So you can do it both. I would say holding it feels good, and then you can just jump down.
Right.
But I would probably do between 5 to 8 reps, depending on how my arm's feeling. Like my arms feel tired, I would probably do about 2 to 3 more.
And is that something that you would do prior to, say like a handstand walk or something like that? So that's like a mobility drill.
That is something I'll do before any gymnastics workout.
That's a staple.
Yeah,
That's-
that looks like it's hitting everything.
That's my staple. Warms up my core,
Right.
and then when I'm in this extended position, I'm having to use my upper body muscles to pull me back through.
Right.
It just feels good. Yeah.
See, I like the movement too.
Yeah.
But for me, I would do that. Like I have to like warm up first just to do that because I just feel it's like stressful. Like because I'm fighting poor shoulder mobility. And I don't know, I guess I've beat up my shoulders and stuff over the years a little bit.
So then you go baby steps.
Don't go as far.
You won't go as far the first time.
Right.
Yeah, you just go a little bit further each time.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Excellent.
Cool.
Skin cat.
Skin some cats, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone hates cats anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Sorry, cat lovers out there.
Do you have any more questions here? I can check the time. Probably yet.
Well, you nailed the.
We're at 32 minutes.
Cool. You nailed handstands. That's awesome. We hit handstands. You hit handstand walking.
So hit handstands before you start walking on your hands. My main message.
Nice. And double chin.
Double
Chin eyeballs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Should we?
Questions, Matt?
No, I think that's pretty good for this episode. I feel we learned muscle up. We will learn handstand push up.
That's
or
it.
handstand
Like
walks,
now you
progressions.
guys are gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
Follow
you got-
those instructions.
follow
Easy.
the
Yeah.
instructions, you'll be pro. It'll be
Yeah.
awesome.
So maybe should we wrap this up? I think
Yeah, let's do it.
time-wise we need to wrap this
yeah,
up.
let's do it.
So where can we find you? Let's do some plugs here. So what's your Instagram, or how can we find you to train?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Stacey Elizabeth Gymnastics. I do training out of Crossfit Armory. I do group sessions. I do one-on-ones. The group sessions are the funnest, I think, and then you can kind of learn how to spot your buddies, and then you can bring that back to your gym and work with each other on the drill. So the group sessions are the best.
So we can book group sessions just like personal training, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
And how about you, man?
Well, you can find me at Fortitude Functional Fitness on Instagram, same as my Facebook page, Fortitude Functional Fitness. I'm down at Evolve Strength. That's where I'm doing personal training. You can find me there as well. How about yourself, Luke?
Website, lukemayfitness.com. Instagram, lukemayfitness, and riot_fit. And that's where you get most of the stuff.
Cool.
Okay, thanks for
Thanks for
tuning in,
having me.
guys.
Awesome.
Great episode.
Thank you.